But let's go first to Susan Lee. She's tracking the Asia Pac markets from Hong Kong. And Susan, talk to us about the triggers for today's sell-off.
Well, that's right, Scarlett. You said a third day down for Asian stocks, and it was really doubts over the U.S. recovery, which pulled down the U.S. dollar, and that drags on exporting profits. I'm going to take you through the closing numbers at this hour. Japan fell over 1 1/3%. Hong Kong, one of the biggest losers in the region today, down 1.7%. And as you see on your screen, the MSCI Asia Pac Index, a regional benchmark, down to a 3-month low. The dollar traded near a 2-week low versus the yen, and as you mentioned, pointing out that figure to you, 95.71 to the U.S. dollar for the yen, which means less income for Japanese exporters when their overseas sales are converted back into the Japanese currency. In fact, Honda is a good example because it gets more than half its sales in North America. So any small increases in the yen really hurts this company's profits. Meantime, shares in banks fell as well after Standard & Poor's cut the credit ratings of 18 lenders in the U.S. Specifically, and we did see some moves in the biggest banks in Japan and also in China. In fact, the world's biggest bank by market value, ICBC, down here in Hong Kong. Over in China today, stocks rose to an 11-month high, and that's after the World Bank raised its growth forecast for the country this year and even advised the Chinese authorities to hold back from injecting any more fiscal stimulus until next year at the earliest. The World Bank now predicts that China will expand 7.2% this year. That's up from its 6.5% forecast back in March, and it joins Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and UBS in raising their outlook on the Chinese economy. Now, one of the biggest losers in the session here in the Asia Pac was Rio Tinto, which is the world's third largest mining company. Its stock tumbled in Sydney, down the most in 2 months, in fact, as it starts its $15 billion plus stock sale and is selling these shares at a discount. Now, remember that Rio opted to raise cash by selling shares instead of selling part of its mines to Chinalco. That deal was nixed. And that's the story in the Asia Pac.